Hello, it's been a long, long time. Can't get you off my tired mind. Shadow, let the tape rewind and finally ease my anxious eyes. Oh no, I feel you creeping in, my body bleeding sin. I'm drowning. Heaven, can you save me now from these thoughts inside my head? God, you are the devil, running through my mind. I can't get on your level. I swear to God I tried. I am not under your spell. Turn around and turn ahead. You cannot be anymore. Oh my God, you are the devil. So hard to save. Hallowed by my love for you, always stop me going under. Follow every step I take, 'cause our walls are coming down. God, you are the devil, running through my mind. I can't get on your level. I swear to God I tried. I am not under your spell. Turn around and turn ahead. You cannot be anymore. Oh my God, you are the devil. In the back of my head and I'm dead. I got the devil inside me and everything there seems red. Vision's blurry, I'm in a hurry, my skin is starting to shed quick. Call up a doctor, swallow some pills, maybe I'll wake up in bed. I'm a disaster, can I move faster? Honey, I'm off the edge. No point in stopping me, I'm at your property, gotta take care of that ledge. My friends are dead, I'm losing my head, I gotta get off of these meds. I am unstable, willing and able, give you this body to pledge. Oh my God, you are the devil. Oh my God, you are the devil.
10 seconds. Stabilizing. Hibernation activated.
All the things we do for And I just noticed I was muted for the whole time. Fantastic stuff. Good evening everyone, welcome for the Masters of ACC, the usual Thursday appointment with racing in Formula Racing League. This time around we are at the Circuit of the Americas, and currently leading the silver class is Sasha Maiattini for Flatout Esports, into the number 17 McLaren, only 47 milliseconds in front of Limburgs with a 2:05.550 compared to 0:05.597. So at the moment a good improvement is happening on Maiattini's side and Limburg's side, because both of them are improving by an entire half second, with car number 205 in a quite nice improvement. This would realistically be enough for Paul. They just need 47 milliseconds. At the moment an entire half second is probably ongoing for the Lamborghini driver in the red, yellow and white colors, and a matter of fact it is going to be at 0:05.100, 4.5 tenths in front of Maiattini, number 17, who still has to complete the qualifying lap, but there is currently an Aston Martin just in front that could ruin their effort as the Aston Martin goes out of the way, but a bit too late. There's possibly a tenth being lost from the Italian driver, and that tiny difference will be enough to keep the 17 in second place. Although the 205 just went into the pits, I think the 17 basically will go for another lap and then stop there. Zaranovic was also improving a good chunk, but that's because there was a possible cut also for the number 1 Lamborghini that is back after the early round that didn't see their presence. Yellow for Sim Racing Team here in the 969 racing car, the usual Ferrari 296, just above the 206 cut line. As it stands, there could be realistically half a second being taken from Vianello's lap. Matter of fact, it is half a second better, 2:05.5 for Vianello, as Robinson just went in third place. Both cars in front of Zoranovic now in fifth, with Galamini that scored a 6th provisional place. Dognan is also improving quite a chunk. Only 3 tenths, so this would just be enough to be in front of Gallamini. As the 328 goes across the line to put the car in 6th. As also Vianello is a nice improvement phase here. Asvenello's lap will not be a valid one since there was an out of track in the last couple of corners. Only 45 seconds before the end of qualifying for the Italian. And lap earlier could have been enough to put the car in third. So nothing that isn't possible to do again. Completely different from Meatini that goes now in pole position 04.930. The first car to go below the 05 cut line, as all the cars in the pro field are now taking their place in the pit lane. In 9 seconds they will be eligible to drive off pit road, as Robinson can still put the car a tiny bit more ahead of what it is already. Basically half a second is tight to gain back, and matter of fact he goes back into the pits. Slightly different story for Vianello here, for Sim Racing Team, that goes for now in fourth. But very likely he could be able to clinch into third without too many issues. And maybe even second place, as Zoranovic goes in fifth place now. The car number 1. Jumping some positions up ahead. As he goes across the line to put the car in third, so he couldn't clinch up to second, and that's the lap done for the Italian driver. They still barf on a valid lap time, very tight. Oh, that's extremely off the circuit, and that's off the racing circuit, so that's 15th place for Barf, as we go with Justin de Jong that will start the lap for QRT Esports. So different team for the Dutch driver. I think this is a good moment to show you the standings. The current situation in Pro class sees... wait, maybe I have to put this away. This away? No. Police, I think it's this away. So the current situation sees Timo Stemma leading with 101 points, as David Hill follows with 175 points with 3 podiums, and the last result being not scored. And Benjamin Eck is currently in third after the DNF in round number 3 and a terrible result in the first race. He sits in third with 147 points, just 3 ahead of De Jong. Reminder that there are Steam gift cards available for the winners at the end of the championship for both classes, and this is the situation in silver class, with Sasha Magliattini leading with 187 points. The last results being raised from the standings. Lewis Robinson just follows behind with 3 podiums, of which one was first place, 176 points, and then Dario Vianello is in third, although he is not racing. He's in third, apologies. I want to say Barry Gibbons is... no, yes he is, I just didn't see him. So Dario Vianello in third, which scored first place, 10th place, second place, and DNF, so he sits a bit behind with 159 points. Then Gibbons in 4th and Tima in 5th place. Will now start in 9th place in class in the silver category. So that was the current situation in the... oops, it's a very old image. The current situation in the standings as we go along the side. Justin de Jong here to get on a lap, although I think the first one will not be a great one. as usual. The car 145 is also completing the racing lap. So only second place for them, but we'll go with on lap with the German driver currently leading the championship. As the situation, oops, apologies. Situation follows here. This time are still in third place, but the Audi number 48 is now leading the pack in the 04.5604. The will now stops in the middle of the racetrack. Bastema is still having a good time here. I stand 145, that's the number of the Ferrari driver. And for now he's not really ruining his opponent's life. He's quite, I won't say in trouble, but he's not absolutely ruining the field. He's for now in third, and his improvement is around 2 tenths. And it sounds like he will not be able to actually get into the lead for once. Or rather, not in the usual easy way. So number 145 still lags behind. So for now, it seems to be actually... Ooh, again, another off track there for Stemma. So... It's not really looking bright. He managed to do a 04.7 early on, but it was an off track at the very late moments. And now it was a 204.8, which would have been enough for second place. But again, he's struggling to get into pole as easy as it usually gets. And as it stands, he is currently the only driver that is still improving. Maybe this time it's a rather different story as Stemma 4 times gaining on his own lap. So whichever was the trouble early on, it has been resolved in some ways. The Ferrari now goes onto the main straight, more than a kilometer long. This straight also saw some peculiar incidents during its history. In NASCAR we saw some incidents just in this very straight during the flooded race at the Cota in 2022. So one of the Haas car, Stuart Haas, once named, getting absolutely demolished in that very straight. But also we saw in Formula 1 with Alonso and Stroll having a contact in the middle of the straight. So it had its moments. Stemma seems like he heard me during this phase, and I really think that he will be able to clinch at least in second place if he doesn't go off track this time around. If he doesn't go off track, he remains extremely cautious there, and he loses 2 temps by doing so. He nails perfectly the last corner, and he actually gets just 22 milliseconds away from pole position there. As he still tries another shot. It's a very cautious last sector for the German driver, so I'm actually confident he could be in first place by the end of qualifying phase. As it stands, no real improvements in the whole field, so they did their best laps on practically the first attempt, and that was it for the majority of them, if not all of them. The only driver that effectively improved towards the end of the qualifying session was this driver here, Timo Stemma, current leader in the championship. Although I'm also seeing that David Hill could be able to at least clinch into 4th. It just requires whichever time he gets, better than the one he made, since his gap with Limberg is literally 0 milliseconds. Car number 145 will be the first to cross the line. And then it will be Jongen. De Jong will follow. Nopek will follow. And Hill will end the qualifying session. I'm very interested in what Nopek is doing. His Audi is flying. He's currently free. Oh, that was an off track. So again, Stemma will not improve. Jongen could be in 7th by the end of the lap. But as I said, we will follow the Audi here for the duration of the race lap, of the quali lap, as the Young crosses the line. No, apologies. As Jongen is about to cross the line with a very minor improvement. It actually wasn't even an improvement. He did his best in this very lap. 205.310, same exact lap time as early on. De Jong goes in 4th place. Hill doesn't seem to be able to clinch a better position, so he will start from 6th place. And Thomas Nopek will end with an improvement, 204.315 for the Audi driver, and that's qualifying over for all of them. As Hill goes across the line, can he at least gain a single millisecond? No, he cannot. His last lap was 80 milliseconds off his own lap, so this will be his starting position, the number 6, and the table 5 will start just behind Limberg's, as you can see, with a pretty spread field. as we are now into the formation lap. And since there are so few cars, we will go with the usual high view compared to the drone shot with 60 minutes to go without counting the formation lap. Novak will start in pole position by quite a good margin, with Sema just following behind in the Ferrari 145. Mayatin starts in the lead of silver class with the Young alongside in 4th place. Lindbergh's just behind the leader, follows in 2nd place in silver or 5th overall. Hill starts in 6th, Vianello starts in 7th, Jongen starts in 8th in the QRT Esports BMW. Robinson starts in 9th with Zorandovic in the number 1 in 10th place. Number 75 with Kenneth Rice. Longden starts in 12th, Castellacci in 13th, Galamini in 14th with Vita only 15th, and Gallo ending the pro field in 16th. Gibbons then is 17th with Tima in 18th, Firth in 19th, Gemello in 20th, Brown in 21st, Battling in 22nd, Charlie in 23rd, then Barfa and Stewart will end the field in 25th place. So we'll just wait for the leader to start the formation lap, and then to undergo the very start of the race. Into turn number 1, the big red, also called, and then we go into the Assetto, as this section here is quite tricky usually. We are left, right, then right again. Usually made in 3rd, with this part being for just a few seconds in 4th if you want, then back in 3rd to get a bit more agility out of the race car. And here you cut as much as physically possible, so that sausage on the left is not very high, and this part here is very tricky because you want to cut. The second you touch the line, you get a track limit violation, and it's very easy to get a drive through here, especially in the S's. And then we go back downhill. Unfortunately, there isn't a gigantic Texas flag in the distance, which makes me extremely sad, as it will be so cool to see in the game. Maybe it's slightly different in Le Mans Ultimate, which, reminder, tomorrow is the last evening which we'll see Le Mans Ultimate for the championship currently ongoing. Then we go into the main straight. Then the technical zone starts with Okay, that has to be extremely balanced towards the agility rather than downforce. That's the beauty of this track. You have 3 different sectors in which you need 3 different combinations of setup. The first part you need a lot of downforce, the second one you require a lot of top speed, and the third one you require a lot of agility in your race car, which practically sets you on for compromises rather than sheer speed. You need to be a bit tight in what you want to do, because you can be quicker in the first sector, but the first sector you can't really pass. It's actually easier into further sector. But certainly the easiest part is second sector, which is practically, apart from the very downforce prone part, a straight line, which really helps with overtakes. In the meantime, round number 5, close to the start. And it's green light, and away we go with a nice start by, I think it was, yeah, it was a very nice start by Lamborghini behind. Oh, that's a huge dive onto the inside on Stemma, and that was De Jong going on from 4th up to 2nd place. And making an absolute dive into the inside of the German driver. Now Nopek already flies away, trying to get as much distance as possible from his competitors. De Jong is down in 2nd place, Stemma is down in 3rd, Meatini now follows just in front of Hill and Young, and as you can see the Lamborghini behind, that's Lindbergh's trying to go for the position on Young and actually making it a bit tricky and showing a good window for Zoranovic to press on an attack. You can see Lindbergh's already defending against a Lamborghini which is already on the right side of Lindbergh's. But now the number 1 remains behind. Both drivers are without any slipstream. So Zoranovic trying maybe with some side draft to make it happen, although I don't think this will be possible as Rice also goes extremely low. Major issues for both drivers. They both tried to go in front of the other, and actually everything went bad for them as Vianello took the position on them, with Lindbergh that tried to go on the brakes as late as possible. Actually ended up going behind both Zoranovic and Vianello, so now Zoranovic is still in 3rd. It is at least in front of Lindbergh's, as Vianello is now in 2nd place in silver class and a 2.5 behind Vianello, as Stemma goes for an immense lunge into the inside and actually hits De Jong. And as you can see from Helicam, Stemma is now getting attacked by Meatini, trying to go for 2nd overall, as De Jong will also try to get back into at least the podium position, as Stemma remains where he is. 2nd place for Stemma. That's a huge dive there for... Oh, Limerick is off. Oh, that's a huge one. Limerick is off. What happened here? I think it was... Oh, it was a very unfortunate contact with Rice. Just a slight less of taps, which put the car off the racing line, and this was actually what happened early on. Stemma going in for the dive, and De Jong closing the door a bit early, I'll be honest. I wouldn't say that was completely on De Jong, but he really didn't put things easier on the table. He tried to close the door, but to be fair, I would like to see it again, as the silver driver tries to give as much room as possible to the pro class. Some actually goes for a... Oh, okay, no, it was definitely off the line for Stemma already, as Nopek leads the way. Stemma follows in second. As Galamini? Oh, Galamini is off! Something happened to... in the... Where is he? Oh! So yeah, he disconnected and then reappeared and unfortunately made contact with somebody. It was very odd. Maybe let's have a look again. Yeah, you can see he reappears out of thin air and makes contact with a 460. So Cody battling with some damage to the front of the car, now getting overtaken by Gallo for 17th place. As the Mustang now goes up ahead. As Stima also, free wide over the main straight. As you can see, the Aston Martin on the left side of the racetrack with the BMW in the middle and the Ferrari with Cassitrash just there sitting and waiting for a mistake that happens, and that's position done, number 11 for Cassitrash. Now 11th place, although Timar is still possibly battling with a Ferrari, but he stands and sits behind. The fight is effectively over from this moment on, and now Vita goes on the left side of the BMW, which covers the inside a bit too late, but enough. It was a very late block, but it was effective, and Longden still remains in 14th place. So up ahead, Nopek is leading easily with Stemma 2 seconds behind, although he could be gaining in the upcoming minutes. Hill then follows a second behind. De Jong also follows a second behind the car in 3rd place, with Young and De Jong's teammate in 5th. Magnatini is in the lead of his own class, but he may have been a bit too cautious with the Pro class. He let way too much time and possibly he lost a tremendous amount of time with Zaranovic, now very close to Magnatini. Robinson is also trying to get in front of Rice. Snopek sets 204.982, quickest race lap of the evening, and Stemma sets 205.100, with Hill actually going quicker than Stemma by 15 milliseconds. De Jong then follows seconds lower, and Jongen nearly goes quicker than his teammate, although the Aston here was trying an Aston aggressiveness. Robinson for now remains behind Rice, that will be for 9th place. Oh, that was a bit offline for Robinson, which will probably help Cassitrash gain some more time on the British driver. A dive on there was in the making for Robinson, but ultimately didn't end. Although that actually helped massively Cassitrash behind, who is now quite close to the car up ahead. Ooh, breaking on the curb, but it is not really helping Cassitrash's line. He stays behind this duo, which is now a trio. Oh, Robinson nearly going for the move on Rice, but the car in 9th place remains where it is, although on the carousel just under the tower. This could end in any way for these three. Snopek actually lost some time this time around. A 10th has been lost. Stemma went for a 204.855, which would have been the fastest lap of the evening, but he went off track, so this is still in Opec's hand. So now the train is composed by several cars, as Cassitra lost some time, and the race practically created an apartment on the apex. Tried to go as low as possible to give Robinson's car as less space as possible. The gap to Nopec for Stemma is a second 0.8 with a good gain on the last couple of sectors for the German driver. The car 934 had an issue because it's now sitting in the middle of the racetrack. Was it from behind? No, it wasn't from behind. It actually went on the curb, jumps a bit too much, and put the car off the racing line by doing so. As the race still sits in 9th place. The train behind is quite long. It goes from Rice up to Vita in 14th place. So a good 6 cars length. But no overtakes are happening as it stands. Last lap it was at 04.617 for Stemma, which would have butchered the fastest lap of the evening, but again it was an off track, so this wasn't counted, but it was another gain for Stemma, although he needs to be clear with it, because if he goes off track a bit too much, that is a track limit violation, and after 3 you have a drive-through for exceeding them. And now you can see how Rice is getting pressured into making a mistake by Robinson. As now Tima is actually going for the move on Cassitras. As you can see here, the Ferrari driver is now on the outside, number 46. It's actually trying to go ahead of... Oh, there's a contact there, and that's a BMW making a contact with Tima and Vita, completely going off the racing line into the gravel. Chain reaction for these drivers, which unfortunately are now both off the battle. As you can see here, Long tried an impossible pass, hit again just Martin, and actually ruined things even more by putting both Vita and Rice, and apologies, and Tima out of contention. As this time around, this could be more contact there between the 336 and the 75, but this time around it could be Robinson's time to be in front, and I really think we can see on the left side. Oh, that's Robinson overshooting completely. Turn 1, he had the position, but he really tried too much and he put himself out of line. This could have been enough to gain. Oh, that's Robinson off! Oh, that's Robinson off! I wasn't expecting this. How did it happen? Oh, he lost the rear. and throw it into the barrier. And he threw it into the barrier. So that's also Robinson's race into the bin. Astima now goes for the move into turn 11. Some contact with Robinson, but Robinson has tremendous aero damage on the car. That's possibly another position being lost there for Robinson, that was battling early on for 9th place. He now finds himself in 17th, and he will just go down in terms of rhythm and pace. We'll go back in front as Jongen is just half a second behind the Young, which had a phenomenal start, and then after getting overtaken by Stemma, fell off quite rapidly. Now he's creating a train for 4th place. Last lap around it was a 06.7 for the Young. A bit of a catastrophe for him, and his teammate will not pass him, whilst Megatini, Zoranovic and Vianello are all battling for the lead in silver class. As Robinson now goes into the pits. Wait, that's Brown completely off the racing line, but that's actually Zoranovic going for a move on Megattini. As you can see here, the Lamborghini loses a bit of tarmac. It was a bit of a wide entry for the McLaren driver, although I really think that Zoranovic could send the car into the inside, into turn 12. He actually remains behind, a bit calm, and waits for a better opportunity, although it's important to say that you can't wait too much, otherwise Pinello could actually make a move for position. But again, the Young, as you can see here, from this outside view, he's actually creating this train and keeping it alive. Although you can see the Young again with another mistake, and so Jongen will actually probably ask for position, because Megatini is getting extremely important in Jongen's mirrors. As Zoranovic, as you can see here, is taking Megatini in any way he can. He tries to go from the outside, this time around, he doesn't hit the curb on the right, but he was very close to do so, and those sausages are extremely high compared to the ones in turn 8. It could be a good chance for Zoranovic to get into the lead of silver class as he tries to go from the outside, close the door in a very aggressive manner. Megatini clean in this fight, remains on the inside, possibly taken by surprise. And I honestly want to see it again, because this was a very nice move. Look at this. So from the outside, closes the door as soon as possible. and ultimately Mediatini has to stay behind Zelanovic for the lead of Silver Class. And now he battles with Vianello, that is also very interested in this very position. The one number... Oh, never mind, because Mediatini changes idea and goes for a very early pit stop. So we have our first pit of the evening, although it was extremely early compared to the usual. So last lap around, Nope keeps clearing and creating a good gap with Stemma. Now the gap is 3 seconds, as Stemma's last lap was at 0.5.7 compared to 0.5.0 for Nopek. He'll follows another 4 seconds behind, then De Jong has a good chunk of time as he goes also for the move on his own teammate and overshoots the braking completely, goes off the racing surface and ends up behind his own teammate. And Tima in position number 14 in the car number 46 just got a drive-through for exceeding track limits. So that's the first of the evening, first drive-through for track limits. As Robinson decided to retire the car, so he will remain in 25th and he will end at the very tail end of the field. And Zelanovic, already leader in his own class, that was extremely dangerous between teammates. Was there a contact? I don't think so. No, Jongen is trying to go from the outside on his teammate as the number 55 defense as well. But that's yeah, that's Zelanovic already in front of the BMW driver, which with a bit of a hit clearly tells Zelanovic to stay behind because he's not a pro class driver. But if you're a pro class driver and you are fighting with a silver, I have bad news for you. Oh, that's the BMW completely losing the rear end of the car going over the curb. And this is just helping Zelanovic, because if he can make those two moves, he could actually get clean air, and who knows if he has the pace to get in front of both Young and De Jong, and maybe even Hill up ahead. He's lapping with a 0.5.7, so possibly no, but who knows, since Zelanovic last lap was at 0.5.7, not in clean air either. And this is a big one. Stemma, currently in second place, is now with a drive-through for exceeding track limits. With only 25 minutes on the clock, our championship leader, reminder, he is in the lead by a good chunk of points. He has been given a drive-through for exceeding track limits, and he will have to go through the pits at pit limiter speed, and that's just before the pit stops too, so it's not really helping the situation in terms of pit stops that have to be counted, as the Young just went into the pits, leaving Young with a bit of clean air. I'm not really sure how good this could be. Zanovic in this lap lost a tremendous amount of time. Both QRT drivers lapped with a 2:07.4, and Zanovic was stuck behind them. So now Hill sits in second, and Zanovic is effectively battling for overall podium. Although Vianello is very close to the Lamborghini driver, which will either go for the undercut very early or wait for an overcut on Jongen's side. Whichever the two happens first. So it was a bit of a terrible line there for the BMW driver, which is simply being a roadblock to Zaranovic's pace. Possibly opposite of car ahead. Stemma goes for the drive-through, and actually nothing happens. I thought an opposite of driver ahead would have happened, but it's actually not happening. Stemma decided to quit the race entirely. So as you can see, this will put his fourth place into account rather than whichever position he would have ended in. Considering he would have probably ended in 6th place, maybe even 5th. Sonopek now is in the lead without effectively too much trouble. It's number 48 is flying away from Hill in second place as Cassitas went into the pits. And this trio here is effectively the only thing battling for position in the entire field. So up ahead, Nopek sits with a 0.5.9 on the last lap, 0.6.3 for Hill, 0.6.2 for Young and Zoranovic, which realistically has the same pace as carrying the lead. So those 6 seconds are, now 7, are quickly becoming more and more important to get back, and I'm starting to think he will not be able to clinch into second, but third place is now perfectly available for Zanovic. Now we are 31 minutes away from the end, and also Gallo could try a move here on Gibbons. That's for 8th place overall. At the end of the main long straight, and the Mustang driver gets ahead of the McLaren with a very not a really firm action. It was rather undecided on whether or not to commit, but he jumped into 8th place at the end. As Jongen goes into the pits, and Vianello does two. That was extremely slow for both, for Jongen. Vianello was a bit more rapid into it. Zanovic now has a clean air in front. As Firth is also going to make the pass on Gibbons, who unfortunately had to go into the pits, possibly without fuel. And that's also a pass for position for Firth. That's 9th place for the Ferrari driver. On the outside he went. Zaranovic's lap will possibly be important to get either in front of both de Jong and Jongen. As also Miatini is still in this fight. He pitted 10 minutes ago. Jongen is now behind Vianello. The reason is there were 2 seconds more in Jongen's pit, whether it was for damage or to put the car in proper position. Now he is 2 seconds behind Vianello, and de Jong is behind both of them. So the undercut clearly didn't work. Not even that, he was actually behind his own teammate, which earlier on was behind him. So that's possibly Zanovic's time to get into the pits. 28 minutes to go. He probably decided to go for an overcut, considering he has a very good pace, but he had moved up ahead in retrospective, pitting earlier. So the lap that just happened would have been better for his racecraft, as he would have been now ahead of Jongen. As he pits at the very last moment. Hill continues to go straight as the leader also went into the pits. Hill is now technically the leader of the race. As Jongen is not over with it, he wants back at least his own position. He goes for a dive on the inside, and they both make contact, and this will just help Zanovic to get and to stay in front of them. Now the Lamborghini driver in the number 1 just requires to have a good pit, and he will be ahead of this train, because all the cars that were battling are effectively not in a great position. Meatini pitted 10 minutes before everyone else and is at the end of this train, so this is not really helping him. Vianello is now behind Jongen, de Jong is behind both of them, and he was ahead prior to the pits. And the number 1 is now about to cross the line as he goes back behind all of them. So it actually was a terrible pit stop for Zanovic. 5 seconds longer than anybody else. As the Ferrari driver goes ahead of Vianello, now in the lead of his own class. As Meatini tried to go for a very difficult move there on the outside. I'm not really sure why Zdanovic lost 5 seconds, and if it is for damage, I have no idea why. As Jongen and De Jong both pass Cota that still has to pit, and both Pianello and Meatini do the same. There's a yellow flag waving, that's car 738. That is now sitting in the pits after causing another yellow flag for some reasons. Down the car number is 22. So Jongen and De Jong, both of them battling hard for this position. This is actually the podium position overall. Opec leads comfortably without any particular reason to worry about what happens behind. As De Jong went for a move, apologies, went for a move on De Jong on the inside of last corner, and that's Ferrari on Ferrari aggressiveness, and the Italian overshoots braking and sends his own Ferrari outside, actually leaving a window for Meatini to pass through, but he is on the outside and he will remain behind Meatini in 6th place. So the fastest lap of the evening was a 2:04.967. Nopek is the current holder of this very lap, and I think we will see an improvement on that regard in the upcoming minutes. Now the fight is for the very lead of silver class. As we can see from the statistics here, Meatini is leading, but Vianello is not far away. Unfortunately, Lamborghini driver is far away for some troubles that he had during the season, because the pace was clearly there, but he just was very unlucky, especially in the first couple of races. situation in the last lap. It was at 0.6.0 for De Jong, 0.6.7 for Vianello, 0.6.8 for Meatini, and 0.5 for Zalando, which is now back in the train. I still don't understand why he lost 5 seconds for effectively no reason, as Besseling has a drive-through for exceeding track limits. He is the third car this evening to get a penalty. And with 20 minutes to go, we could still see a couple of cars with this rhythm. So as I was saying, I still don't understand why car number 1 just lost for effectively no reason 5 seconds to repair the car, which, quite honestly, 5 seconds in a sprint race is a death sentence. You will never lose 5 seconds because of damage in 30 minutes. Galamini here is defending against Lindbergh's for 15th place. As the drive-through happens this time around, it's way up on top. It's Justin De Jong in 4th place. He gets a drive-through for exceeding track limits. As Lindbergh goes to the inner side and changes idea, goes to the outside. Why did I say it like it was the racing spotter? And that's Lindbergh's now up ahead in 15th place with a nice overtake on the Italian for DMF Corsa. So now De Jong has a drive-through for exceeding track limits. This will put Vianello back in 4th, Meatini in 5th, and Zalanovic in 6th, with Kasitrash also gaining 4th place in Pro Class. As he will probably defend as much as possible to give Jongen a chance to go away. No, because that's the... Oh, never mind. De Jong actually goes immediately in the pits. I thought he would have fought for his position, but at least give his own teammates some chances to fly away. He actually thinks about it and prefers to go for the clean route and pits as early as possible, leaving these three to battle for the lead of the race, and why not even the podium overall. Vianello is now in 4th. Last lap it was a 0.6.1 for Vianello, 0.5.7 for Meatini, and 0.5.4 for the Lamborghini driver. The youngest sits now in 12th place, behind the Gallo, Reyes and Kasitrash in the standings. Fastest lap couldn't be improved. Nope, I just managed to get a 0.4.995, so the best lap remains a 0.4.967, and Nopek will also end with his point. The Young now is in front of Gibbons, but possibly just momentarily, as Gibbons the 137 tries to get again in front of the Ferrari driver. A bit cautious into closing the door, but Zalanovic is very close here to Meatini. Nearly contact between these two as Vianello takes the longest road possible, getting into turn 20. Currently two fights going on. Oh, Gibbons is off, and that's also Vita getting in front of Firth, with Gibbons just sliding over the curb. Number 22 now sitting in 14th place. At least he's one single position better in his own class, but Gibbons is just in the way of it. So up in front, Jongen's last lap 05.7, Mignatini 06.5, same as Zoranovic, and Vianello just gained that half a second on the two drivers, but also lost 3 times on Jongen. Zoranovic waits for his opportunity. Fiancini closed the door a bit in advance, ruining his own exit speed and effectively gifting Zoranovic a chance to get in front of him. That will be for 5th place. He doesn't have as much straight line speed as a McLaren driver. He will have to remain behind, sit back, and find another window to break through. This time around, Zoranovic goes on to get the inner line on Mignatini, who tried to defend but way too late. Now Zoranovic, can he stick it on the outside? A little tap, possibly, between the two, but Zoranovic gets position number 5, or second in class, with a very nice move on the inside, taking by surprise Vianello, who tried to block very late, but way too late, and left the window open for Zoranovic to make the move. Now Vianello just sits ahead of him. This will be 4th overall, but the lead in class. As Mignatini still tries to get back in front of Zoranovic, but he has to fly away as quickly as possible. Last lap around for Jongen was at 05.9, 05.5 for Vianello, 05.6 for Zoranovic, 05.8 for Mignatini. So all of them are actually gaining on the BMW driver. As 12 minutes remain, so roughly 6 laps to go for all of them, as Hill just sets his own personal best, but a bit too late, 05.040. So Nopek still remains the only car racing that managed to get a 04. Slightly more behind, slightly is a bit of an overstatement. A lot more behind in 12th place. Gibbons and Vita are battling for this very position, as Vita goes extremely wide, takes a bit of an advantage, but Gibbons remains in front momentarily. This could realistically be a different I think now Gibbons could break extremely early, and that's completely off the chart for Vita, not only breaking as late as physically possible, nearly hitting the Young by doing so, and just remaining in front of fourth by here. centimeters. Although I would wait to state my claim. That's for going completely out offline there, and that's completely done for the battle for 14th place. This time around 06.4, 06.1, 05.8 with the overtake for Zoranovic. Clearly stating that that Lamborghini could realistically take both cars. That will be the podium overall and the win in silver. As Youngen tries to get as much of an advantage as possible from a car with blue flags on them. Also, the McLaren now helping a bit. The BMW, as you can see here, Vinello has to go against Stewart, who is not moving out of the way for some reasons. He is staying where he is. That's a lot of impeding. The BMW takes a lot of advantage thanks to Stewart not leaving the way and simply remaining where he is. This is just helping Zoranovic in his own track, as you can see, going from the outside, taking the move thanks to this McLaren now sitting in the middle of the inside line. I'm not really sure what was the plan there for Stewart. Whichever was the plan, it was horrible. And that's also a crash there between Magliatini and Stewart. I wouldn't say that was expected, but yeah, that was something, I would say. Meanwhile, Zoranovic tries to take the outside line. A bit of contact, more than a bit, and that's a bit of a slide for the Ferrari driver. And Vinello now sits in 5th place, and Zoranovic takes the lead of silver class. Now 2 seconds behind Youngen. He has clean air and can take the podium in overall class. Now we will see what happened early on. Because look at this little contact. Yeah, Stewart tried to close the door. Then this happened later on. Little contact between the two cars. Now a better look, because this was a bit of an awful look. So yeah, look at this. Zoranovic who tried to get the door closed in as little time as possible. It's a bit difficult from this view. And then this is what happened between Magliatini and Stewart. So you can see Stewart first tried to defend the inner line and then closing completely the door without any fault on Magliatini's side. That was completely on Stewart for first defending against two cars that were battling for position, and then defending again against a car that was literally just passing through. So that's possibly some race awareness lesson that has to be given. Because that was the worst thing to do when you see a blue flag. Just 7 minutes to go. Novak will start the fourth to last lap to go. As only 6 minutes and 40 seconds remain. as this was a 0.6.5 for Jongen and a 0.5.8 for Zoranovic. So although with everything that happened in the lap prior, this was an immense lap from the Lamborghini driver, which now sits a 2.3 away from Jongen, as Vianello made a 0.6.3 and a 0.6.0 for Magliattini in 6th place. This point Nopek obviously, although a drive-through could always happen, but apart from that I don't think Nopek has really anything to worry about, as he sits comfortably in the lead. And also Magliattini is now closely getting closer, that's a great sentence really, is rapidly getting closer to Vianello, as that will be for second place in class, as I'm also seeing some blue flags, but I'm not sure from where. See, there is nobody in front of Jongen. So Vianello already 2 seconds behind Zoranovic, completely lost the race car from the earlier battle in a bit of a vertical way. Very odd. Bit wider for Jongen as Zoranovic closely follows. 0.6.1 for Jongen, 0.5.7 for Zoranovic, 0.6.2 for Vianello, and 0.6.1 for Magliattini. So out of these four, Zoranovic is the only one that gets below the 0.6 cat line, and he's practically lapping as fast as both Hill and Nopek. So quite a nice one there, and Besting gets another drive-through for exceeding track limits. So he gets 2 in a single race. He's currently in 21st place. I'm starting to think that actually the Ferrari driver could be real saving. He's losing a ton of time, especially on the straight. Look at this. I think he's already on Vianello's... Oh, that was a bit of a misshift. So never mind what I said. Oh, a little bit of the curb, that's for Zoranovic. So the gap is back to 1 second between Jongen and Zoranovic, and only 2 laps remain. So he has to be quicker. He can go up to 4 times per lap quicker, but he also has to perform an overtake, which will realistically happen on the last lap. And we saw how Jongen can defend. So if any move happens, it's going to be a very late one and a very aggressive one. Last lap it was a 0.6.3 for Zoranovic and 0.6.4 for Jongen and 0.6.5 for Vianello and 0.7.2 for Magliattini. So all of them effectively butchering their own lap times. As Zoranovic also made another mistake, going over the curb into turn 1 and losing a bit of time. A better line there for Zoranovic compared to Young, and way more on the inner side without touching the curb. For the last lap, for the last 2 minutes and 05 seconds. I think it's the correct thing to also show the leader of the race, which will now take the white flag and will go for the final time across the Circuit of the Americas for round number 5. As he goes into turn 1, a bit of live coverage for him because he had roughly 2 seconds in the whole hour, so at least a lap is deserved for his struggles. He currently has a 12 nearly seconds gap on Hill, just 11 on the timing screen, but on the race control it was 11.5 early on, so possibly Novak slowing down to avoid any possible track limit violation. As it goes on the upper part of the circuit, and then back downhill into turn 11, which is a 150 degrees angled corner, which works phenomenally in NASCAR. Onto the long straight. Also now into the final technical zone. Double left-hander, a little right-hander, and then a double right-hander. And another very angled corner into the carousel, just alongside the tower, which was built for the VIP guests that can go on the tower and look at the race from the best view around, and then into the final corner, and that's Thomas Novak going for the win in round number 5 of the Circuit of the Americas, the Masters of ACC, with Hill following just behind in second place, 11 seconds behind. And that's the McLaren finishing the race, with Jongen, which will end in the podium position, and Zoranovic will end in 4th, but in any case he will win in his class. That's number 1 for 1. And that's a win for Zoranovic as he crosses the line in 1st, as Vianello in 2nd, and Meyatin in 3rd. Kasidrash will follow up in 7th place. Rice will complete the race in 8th place. And Gallo will do the same in 9th. The Mustang GT for Eagles Esports Longden will follow in 10th. De Jong will follow only 11th after the drive-thru. Gibbons is now in 12th. And Vita is now in 13th in the car number 22, with Furt just following behind. Lindbergh's only 15th after the initial contact at the very beginning of the race. Galamini is in the 777 in 16th place for the MF Corsa. And Timar another 16 seconds behind. After a drive-thru for exceeding track limits, he will complete the race in 17th place, just in front of Gemello, last car in the lead lap. Barth is the last lap in the lead lap, apologies. Barth is about to complete the race in 18th place. Last car in the lead lap. In front of Charla, Bessling, Stewart to finish the race. And Brown, Stemma, Robinson and Eck didn't finish the race. So this was tonight's round at Circuit of the Americas. Next up, Hungaroring on February 27th, then Barcelona, and then Suzuka. I will not be here on Hungaroring. I will be here tomorrow evening for Le Mans Ultimate, but I will not be present for Hungaroring round. So for a while this could be the last time you hear of me, but I'm Chris Romano. This was the Circuit of the America round number 5 for SEC Masters. Thank you to have followed this race. Hope you had a good time with it. In any case, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.